All right, everybody, week 4, huge win by the Eagles coming into Green Bay and pulling that off in the end. A couple big defensive red zone stops inside the 10-yard line. Green Bay, why the fuck didn't you hand it to Jones? I'm happy you didn't. Alshon Jeffrey, Dallas Goedert, they return. They each get a touchdown. Miles Sanders, a huge kick return all the way to inside the Green Bay 35. Anyways, I forget exactly where they ended up, somewhere around there. That led to an Eagles points, which helped them in the victory. What else happened in that game? Jordan Howard, 3 touchdowns for the second time in his career. Big game from him. I was so glad that Philly opened it up for him, and they really ran the ball against Green Bay's defense. Packers, you better shore that up. You got Zeke Elliott this week. Wow. I'll get to that in my picks anyways. Howie. Get Jalen Ramsey. Fuck me. The secondary. Adams went off, had 180 yards in 3 quarters before he got injured, hurt with his turf toe. Hopefully he comes back because I have him in my fantasy on quite a few of my fantasy teams. So please, Adams play. But wow, Philly, man, Howie, get Jalen Ramsey. Give 2 firsts and a player. I don't give a fuck. It's worth it. He's a young corner. He's a shutdown corner. That'll help things. Right now, you're getting no pass rush right now. You're having to disguise blitzes. Come on, you need to get some help on corner. You get that and you're legit Super Bowl contenders. Please. Other things, week 4 there, Baker Mayfield, 1 TD pass, bit of yards through the air. Odell Beckham had 35, 20 yards. 2 catches, 20 yards or something, but the story of that game was Chubb. He went off for 165 yards rushing or whatever it was, something like that. 3 TDs. Good for you, Cleveland. You finally played like the team everybody was hyped up and waiting to see. Can you keep it rolling? Who do you got this week going forward again? In San Francisco, San Fran's one of 3 unbeaten teams in the NFL. They're 3-0. The Chiefs are 4-0. The Patriots are 4-0. The only unbeaten teams left in the league right now. So good on you. Hopefully you can go into San Fran and put up a good showing. This week, turnovers killed the Ravens. Definitely. Can't do that. Way too many turnovers. Shot themselves in the foot too many times. Chiefs, Lions, 5 fumbles lost. That's the first time in the NFL that 2 teams have combined for 5 fumbles lost since 2014. So you can see how that game went down to the wire and how the Chiefs just pulled it out at the end. Neither team could really hold on to the ball. Even the opening kickoff to start the second, or the kickoff to start the second half, I believe, is the one where the Chiefs fumbled the ball too, and Detroit gave it back to them twice in the third quarter. New Orleans Saints, no Drew Brees, no problem. Fucking defense and special teams stepped up, shut Dallas Cowboys down, shut down Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott had, let me go to my stats here, 35 total rushing yards, a fumble lost. He did score the game's only TD. The Cowboys defense, though, they played equally as well. They kept the Saints' high-powered offense. Even without Breeze, they got so much talent to keep them out of the end zone. Good on you, Dallas D. You are the bright spot of that game for the Cowboys. That could have been a blowout if they were able to get into the end zone. You are what kept that game close. Big game for the Cowboys coming up against the Green Bay Packers. Could Dallas lose 2 in a row? I'm betting on it. 3 running backs are your TD leaders so far. Eckler has 6, Cook for Minnesota has 5, and Ingram for Baltimore has 5. Those guys are your touchdown leaders so far through 4 weeks. The Dolphins have been outscored by 137 points this year. They're minus 137 in point differential. You have to go back more than 75 years for that stat, pre-1940, to get any team that's as bad. The next closest you have is Washington at minus 122 in 1954, and of course, Washington again in 2001, minus 110. So good for you, Miami. At least you're setting a record of some sort this year. And I still like my preseason prediction. You're going to be the first team to go undefeated in the NFL in a season and the first team to go winless in a season. I don't believe that's ever been done. If somebody out there, a stat head, wants to let me know, hey, let me know. Past Chiefs, I already talked about that. Every team in the AFC South is 2-2. Jacksonville, Houston, Indy, Tennessee. Two of them teams pull ahead? Let's talk about that. Getting to my picks for week 5. LA Rams +5 in Seattle. Rams, I like them to bounce back. Wilson might be playing his best football of the year. Rams are a good road team. They're 6-2 in the last 8 versus Seattle, and I believe they won the last 2 games in Seattle, or 3 of the last 4. I don't have that stat written down, but I do believe I remember seeing that somewhere. So I like the Rams to not only cover the 1.5 point underdog spread, but to win the game straight up. Arizona +3 in Cincinnati. These two teams, I don't know what the fuck to think of them. One is building, the other one is not sure what it's doing. Got embarrassed on Monday night by Pittsburgh. A bad team beat up a horrendous team. So I'm gonna go with a close game on this one. I'll roll with Arizona to cover the 3 points, but Cincinnati to squeak out a home win, maybe a 1-point win with a last second field goal or some shit like that to win it. Baltimore -3 on the road in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, Monday night, that was a facade. I do not think Rudolph's 3 yards per pass is going to do anything against the Ravens. Cleveland, they have some offensive talent. Everybody thought they were going to be great this year. As you see with Tampa, any team can light up the scoreboard on any given week against anyone. It's just one of those weeks where Cleveland rolled. Baltimore shot themselves in the foot with turnovers. Jackson, untimely sacks. So I am going to trust Baltimore in this situation as road favorites, 3 points on the road to win the game straight up and cover that spread. Buffalo goes on the road to Tennessee. The Titans are 3-point home favorites. And I like Tennessee in this game. Josh Allen, his status is unknown after that vicious hit he took from the Patriots last week. That game was New England 16-10. Patriots were lucky to escape Buffalo with that win. Allen hasn't been playing the greatest this year, but he is a pretty good young quarterback, and he's still in the learning process. He's something to look forward to if you're a Bills, but that concussion protocol, that's scary for any QB or any fan of the Bills. I think Tennessee will be able to get the win here. They're the 4th best scoring D in the NFL so far. It's short sample size, small sample size through 4 weeks, I realize. But still, that's saying something. Henry, I like him to get going on the ground this week. And Buffalo on the road. So I am betting on Tennessee to cover the 3 points at home and win the game straight up, obviously. The Bears are on the road in Oakland. That game is in London, England. Sorry, I believe. Let me double check that. I believe it's in London anyways. But the Bears defense travels. They're legit. I don't care about the Chase Daniel Trubisky argument at quarterback for Chicago. They just need to get Tyreek Cohen and the rest of the Bears backs involved and tight ends involved in the game, and they'll be able to do some things. And their defense, I think the Bears defense might outscore both fucking offenses in this game. I like the Bears to win and cover, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Bears D put up 14 or even 21 points on the board for Chicago. I am taking the 5.5. I'm rolling with it. I know I don't normally like taking that many points as a road team, especially with a team with no quarterback like Chicago. But I'm going to trust my gut on this one because that's all I'm rolling with is my gut on this one. Chicago, 5.5. Carolina at home to Jacksonville. Carolina's -3.5 point favorites. I like Carolina to win the game, but Jacksonville to cover the 3.5. I think this is a field goal game. I just don't think, as much as I like Gardner Minshew, the Jags' young quarterback who's filled in for Nick Foles remarkably well, I didn't know who Gardner Minshew was before he came into that game when Foles got injured. So he has played remarkably well, but can he win back-to-back road games? In Carolina, I just don't see a team with Christian McCaffrey losing for the 3rd straight time at home to start the year. Last year they started at home, 6-0? You can double check that. I believe it was 6-0 they started at home last year. They've already lost their first 2 at home. I'm just going to go with the odds and say Carolina wins the game, but Jacksonville should be able to keep it close enough, especially if Minshew continues to show that magic at escaping some of them tackles like he did last week. So Carolina to win, Jacksonville to cover. Minnesota Vikings visiting the New York Giants. The Vikes are 5.5-point favorites. Cousins, a lot of speculation whether Stephon Diggs even wants to be a Minnesota Viking anymore. Delvin Cook, Adam Thielen complaining he's not getting any passes. He wasn't targeted. Diggs got all the majority of the targets that were thrown by Cousins last week. So it's hard to say what's going to come out of this, but I think the Vikings defense will be able to shut down the Giants. Barkley's status is still unknown. Jones threw a couple picks last week. He showed that maybe he is a rookie, and maybe the Giants do need to give him the whole season to kind of groom and grow him into the potential quarterback that they hope he can be. And we'll see. I'm going to bank on the Vikings maybe force-feeding Thielen the ball a little more, and Thielen having a big day. I don't know if Diggs is even going to show up. He didn't practice Wednesday, I believe I read somewhere. So I expect a big show from Thielen and Cook against the Giants, and Minnesota to go on the road and cover the 5.5-point spread and win that game by about a touchdown. The Patriots, 15-point favorites in Washington. Washington's a mess. Who they're going to start? Keenan McCoy, Haskins, the rookie. Does it really matter? They're beat up. They have no QB. I think no matter what, I think New England goes in. Washington, it wouldn't surprise me if they covered the spread. That's a big spread at home. I'm picking New England to win the game. Washington to cover the spread. I think New England wins by like 14, and that's real close. They might win by 17 and fuck me in the end or something, but I think this game could be where you get a backdoor cover with a big spread, and the Patriots end up holding on by like 14, 12, 10, some shit like that. New York Jets in Philadelphia. Quarterback situation for New York. Is it going to be Falk again filling in, or is the mono situation settled? Le'Veon Bell is the only player that the Eagles really have to focus in on. And that defense is a solid run D. They're only giving up an average of like 42 rushing yards per game. Can't remember what the stat is. I know it's somewhere low 40s, or before last week's game it was 44.2 or some shit like that. So they're a solid run defense. It's biting them in the ass in the passing game. But the Jets don't have a quarterback that can throw, and they haven't shown to have receivers that are getting open. Everybody's just focusing on Bell, and it's hurting Bell's output and production this year. I still think he's a great player and a great back, but when you're a one-man show, when nobody else around you, it's kind of hard to do anything when teams can put 8, 9, 10, 11 guys and focus on you. So I think the Eagles roll, cover the 13.5 points. They win by 17, 20, something like 35-10 or some shit like that. I see this game being a complete blowout. A big day for the Eagles defensive line. I think Cox and Barnett and the boys are going to get after whoever the Jets have at quarterback and take care of business. Tampa Bay +3, New Orleans 3-point home favorites here. Don't be fooled by what Tampa Bay did last week. You look at them, they put up big points, win big against Cleveland. No, that was Tennessee who beat Cleveland week 1. But Tampa Bay's gone win, loss, or loss, win. I think the Saints can do enough to win this game. Tampa, I will take them. I think this is a field goal game. They've shown me they can do enough. Godwin, great receiver. One of my favorites in the game right now as well. He's a bright spot on the Bucs team. Winston, too bad he's your quarterback, but anyways, it is what it is. So I like New Orleans to win the game. Tampa to cover the spread. Denver +6.5 at the Chargers. Chargers 6.5-point favorites. They get Gordon back. Eckler's leading the NFL in touchdowns. It's going to be a ground and pound game. Chubb's gone for the year for Denver. Oh, man. Denver. Are they going to start becoming sellers? Are teams going to be able to pick apart players like Emmanuel Sanders and maybe a bit of linebacker, safety, cornerback help from this team? I don't know. Interesting team to watch if they become sellers or not as we close in on the trade deadline. I am going to roll with the Chargers here. They just got too much, and the injuries to Denver, I think it's just too much for them to overcome on the road. They might be able to keep games close at home, but I like the Chargers to win by at least a touchdown here. Green Bay Packers coming off a loss to Philly. So many red zone touches. Philly shut them out. Cowboys, defense played well, like I said earlier. But I think the Cowboys are in trouble here. I think Green Bay comes up, rolls. The Packers are 7-3 straight up in their last 10 against Dallas. They've gone into Dallas and won as road underdogs. The last 2 games, these 2 teams have faced each other. I think Aaron Rodgers is the best fucking quarterback, one of the best I have seen in my life. I think the Packers get it done. Devontae Adams, hopefully he's back. Hopefully that turf toe isn't too much and he's just resting until game day. We'll see. Even without him, I think Rodgers can do enough to win this game. If it comes down to the end and one of these 2 quarterbacks with the ball in their hands, I'm trusting Rodgers. He is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. The big question mark will be the Packers' run defense. Zeke Elliott. This kid is fucking phenomenal. He was held in check by the Saints D last week. Did Green Bay pick up on something? Did the Saints scheme him well? Is that something that other teams can lean on? Because Dallas hadn't really faced anybody so far in the year. And we'll see what happens in this game. I'm curious to see the Packers run D versus Zeke Elliott and where this goes. I like the Packers to win this game outright on the road, so I'm taking them to win and cover the spread as underdogs. Indianapolis at Kansas City. Just too many injuries for Indianapolis to overcome. Kansas City minus 11 points at home. Probably getting Tyreek Hill back this week. I just think it's too high-powered a team going up against a team that is beat up. Jacoby Brissett's done a phenomenal job filling in for Andrew Luck, but there's only so much a team can do when it comes to overcoming injuries, when you don't have the depth that some of the other top tier teams in the NFL have. I think Kansas City's going to take care of business. I think this is going to be like a 42-21 game or something like that. Kansas City to roll. And the last game of the week, Cleveland at San Francisco. I like San Fran to win this game, but not cover the 3.5 point spread. I think this is a field goal game that comes down to the end, and San Fran wins this and stays undefeated, and we will still have the same 3 teams undefeated heading into week 6. New England, Kansas City will both be 5-0, and San Fran will be 4-0. Don't like to say that very much, but that's just the way it is. Anyways, look forward to talking to you guys again. Peace.